All right, KissFAQ YouTube channel members, happy Monday. I guess if you've been around the last few days, have been online, or have even maybe tuned into your local news, you've heard the news that KISS has been awarded the 2025 Kennedy Center honor, one of them anyway, and they're going to be the rare induction of, or recognition of, a rock band into that institution. We did a show about some of the topic over the weekend. Every podcast is pretty much discussing it so far as I've seen. I know 3 Sides episode dropped today. Podcast Rock City had Brandvold on to talk about it last night. So it is the topic of the day. I'm starting to prepare our show for the next episode, which is, going to be around honoring KISS at that event. And as such, I was watching Led Zeppelin's induction, of course, Jimmy Page and Robert Plant, The Who's, Paul McCartney. Who else did I check out? I can't remember. Barry Gibb, the surviving brother from the Bee Gees. And I wanted to get a feel for how the Kennedy Center had honored these honorees previously to be our show discussion topic. But one of the things I saw most of them doing was a montage about the act, a multimedia presentation of several minutes length that really gives an overview of the group's history or the artist's history leading to their Kennedy Center honor. And I decided to just challenge myself to doing one. I was thinking about maybe putting this in the show. I'm undecided at this point, but I said I wouldn't do more than 1,000 words. I wanted it to be about 5 minutes. My first one was, but then I decided I'd missed a couple of things, so I went back and redid it. I didn't want to waste more than an hour recording and editing it. I just kind of missed that ever so slightly, as well as particularly with redoing it. So I put this together. I've not done any video because I just don't want the copyright strikes. It's much easier to use the musical backing and take the publishing hits on those and let them profit off it because I don't monetize the channel. But I would love to know your thoughts of this roughly 5-minute monologue, which is my vision of an introduction of KISS to a wider audience, summarizing their career, that of the honorees. So naturally, that also adds the additional constraint that this only really covers 72 to 79. And, that's the way I framed it. That's the way I imagine it would be framed for the Kennedy Center, honoring only the original lineup. That is all that matters, those iconic images. It doesn't matter how much I like Asylum or Animalize or Revenge or MTV Unplugged. All of that's out of this picture because this is all about the iconic American band that that really is the foundation for everything else on which later was built as a result of all the challenges. So chime in the comments with your thoughts, things that you think are critical to be mentioned during any monologue, things that shouldn't be in it, or whatever, So enjoy. 2025 Kennedy Center honorees, KISS. KISS were formed out of the ashes of an unsatisfying musical effort in mid-1972. Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley walked away from a completed album and record deal to form the band that they wanted to hear and see.
You got nothing to lose.
Recruiting drummer Peter Criss, the trio spent the autumn in a dingy loft rehearsing, refining, and shaping songs that would form the core of their new musical concept. The final piece fell into place with lead guitarist Ace Frehley joining in December, and the group were ready to take their music to the people. On January the 30th, 1973, KISS debuted at the Coventry Club in Queens. Only slightly on the periphery of the New York City glam movement led by the New York Dolls, KISS spent more of their time refining their music and show, and before long their iconic image started to take form. Following the recording of a demo at Electric Lady Studios with legendary producer Eddie Kramer, KISS continued to pay their dues in hotel ballrooms and dive clubs such as the Hotel Diplomat or the Daisy in Amityville on Long Island. Eventually, they were able to secure a manager who shared their vision. Bill O'Coin brought with him a creative partner, Sean Delaney, and co-manager, Joyce Biowitz. It didn't take long for KISS to become the first signing to Neil Bogart's new label, Casablanca Records. Neil was a disruptor in the music business who wrote his own rule book and was more often right, following his gut instincts. With a full team of believers backing them, KISS were soon refining their concept and stage show into something worthy of the larger venues they wanted to conquer. Following their professional debut at New York's famed Academy of Music on New Year's Eve 1973-74, KISS released their debut album in February and hit the road. They took any opening gig from any headliner brave enough to take them. With pyrotechnics, levitating drums, rockets and sirens, KISS's theatrics provided a perfect visual accompaniment to the thunder rock of their music. They shocked and awed their audiences, leaving mouths agape and ears ringing with a cascade of sensory overload. Every day was D-Day, and they were coming to liberate music fans from the stuffy elite. The show didn't come without risks, from fire-breathing mishaps and singed hair to stage fog, asphyxiation to mutilated roadies and exploding drumsticks to electrocution. KISS and their crew put it all on the line every night to deliver spectacle. KISS were brash, over the top, and impossible to ignore. They had a mission, they had a one-for-all attitude, and they had the chutzpah to do things their way. They wanted to conquer the world, one city at a time if necessary. A grueling cycle of tour, record, and repeat followed. KISS released 3 studio albums in just over a year and slowly started building up a rabid following in key markets, despite being ignored or dismissed offhand by the mainstream. Headliners started to fear the gruesome Gotham Quartet. They soon had a dedicated KISS army of fans who knew better than the pompous music critics and elitist rock journalists who dismissed them as a hype. Following a minor chart flirtation in 1975, KISS returned to the services of Eddie Kramer to helm their Alive album, which finally delivered to the record-buying public the power and majesty of electric communion at a KISS concert. Coupled with the chart success of a live version of their anthemic Rock and Roll All Night, Alive went top 10, eventually selling some 8 million copies worldwide. KISS had arrived and attained the rock star status they'd worked so hard for. Not willing to rest on their laurels, KISS challenged their creative process in the studio and recruited producer extraordinaire Bob Ezrin for their next LP, Destroyer. The unexpected smash hit Beth catapulted KISS to superstar status, while songs such as Detroit Rock City cemented their status as hard rock superheroes.
Just a few more hours, and I'll be right home to you. I think I hear them calling. Oh, Beth, what can?
As their star rose, Aucoin explored new commercial avenues to exploit their iconic images through merchandising and commercial projects. He and his team also innovated to protect the group's commercial rights. Many of those innovative ideas are now standard parts of any group's financial success, as much as KISS's playbook has been mirrored or outright copied in stage shows across musical genres. Entering their golden era between 1977 and 1979, KISS generated an estimated $100 million in worldwide merchandise sales from a wide variety of items such as comic books, dolls, makeup kits, pinball machines, and more. But the members of KISS had more to say musically, becoming the first active group to simultaneously release 4 solo albums in September 1978. Those releases were followed by the group's appearance in a made-for-television special, KISS Meets the Phantom of the Park. By 1979, with another gold record for the disco-tinged I Was Made for Loving You, the strain of years of touring and other challenges took their toll, and the band started to fragment. But KISS's legacy had already been secured, and while the band members and music would continue to change and evolve with the times, the rock-solid foundation of the iconic four stood firm. Numerous fans were inspired to take up a musical instrument or microphone due to the photos that had filled magazines or the posters that had adorned their walls during the 1970s, 80s, 90s, and beyond. And the catalog of songs echo forever on, from Detroit Rock City to Rock and Roll All Night to Beth to Love Gun to I Was Made for Loving You. KISS's music remains vibrant and alive. The iconic makeup guises are indelibly burned on the psyche of American pop culture and are identifiable across the world, crossing barriers of language and culture as an ultimate export of Americana and a manifestation of the American dream. Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, Peter Criss, Ace Frehley, 2025 Kennedy Center honorees.